Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And as I anticipated, we also got preliminary numbers from T-Mobile Q4 results. The conference just finished that I told you guys this morning. I would give you guys updates if there were any updates of significance. And we got some good updates. So to start it off right away, T-Mobile posts record high customer results, adding 1.2 million postpaid accounts and 5.5 million postpaid accounts for the year. So here are some of the interesting numbers. 315,000 postpaid account net additions, expected best in industry and highest Q4 in last 4 years. So the reason they're saying expected is because Verizon has yet to release their numbers. They already know AT&T's. 1.8 million postpaid net customer additions expected, best in industry and highest Q4 in company history. Now, this is the number where they did fall a bit low below AT&T, but not by much. 844,000 postpaid phone net customer additions, which increased year over year versus the Q4 last year. So AT&T did around, I think, 880,000. So they are closing that gap quite quickly. You got to remember, they still carry a high churn on Sprint. Now, I know they do free lines, so that does weigh in. So AT&T does make more profits off of their ads, but it does seem that T-Mobile is confident that once they have the Sprint base fully migrated and the way the model is set, that they will be the leader again once the Sprint base is fully migrated. And then this is a big number here. And I told you guys in previous videos that there is large demand on home internet. They added 224,000 high-speed internet net customer additions in Q4, the best quarter since launch. So they have a total of 646,000 home internet customers now. So they did crush the goal of the 500,000 that they wanted to add. So a few interesting things that I wanted to note, give you guys updates on. They finished the year out at 210 million covered with ultra capacity. So they got to the 200 million goal 6 weeks prior to the target. And then within that last 6 weeks of the year, they added another 10 million pops covered. So they're operating at a phenomenal pace, is what Peter Osvaldik said. No financials were released. I did want to throw in another update with this update from this morning. They added per the agreement from Crown Castle and T-Mobile, they are going to deploy 35,000 small cells under Crown Castle. So there were no financials released for the Crown Castle agreement or for the quarter. Those will be likely disclosed. Well, of course, they will disclose the financials during the quarterly earnings, but I don't know if they will disclose the financials for the Crown Castle deal. Now, something interesting to note here. A couple of months back, Neville Ray commented that he sees that there is a potential for an acceleration in the capital investment in 22. Peter Osvaldik brought it up again. So I'm going to go on record now speaking with my sources. I am 95% sure we will see a higher CapEx in 22. That guidance is not set to come out until spring. What Peter referenced is, which is interesting, the acceleration of the CapEx this year is going to lead to them bringing plans from guidance or plans from 2023 into 2022. So we could potentially see C-band deployments happening in 22, an accelerated coverage expansion in 22. So that's going to be very interesting because remember, in 22, they were already supposed to have finished the Sprint keep site. So they're not bringing that from 23 into 22. The shutdown of the CDMA network is happening in 22, March 31st, actually. So that's not the plan coming from 23 into 22. Two of the biggest plans that they could bring from 23 into 22 would be C-band deployment, coverage expansion. Those are the two biggest plans that would start shifting from 23 into 22. The reason I'm not bringing up the small cells because I think that will be an annual deployment. So they're going to gradually increase into the 35,000. Like they're going to deploy 5,000 this year, 5,000 next year. So I don't think that's going to necessarily accelerate anything. So the two things I'm confident in that they're going to bring from 2023 into 22 is coverage expansion, new build sites, and the one second, I forgot here, lost my train of thought. So the new build sites is what they're going to bring in from 23 into 22, and then the C-band build. The C-band build, I think we will start seeing radios, C-band radios hanging off of sites this year. I don't know if it likely won't be in the first half because they're going to be very focused on converting Sprint keep sites. So it'll likely be to the tune of the second half of this year. But they're moving at an incredible pace. Home internet demand is still outgrowing anything that they could have ever imagined. So they're moving at a good pace. We'll see what the profits look like in the EBITDA. They do think EBITDA is going up as the Sprint network gets shut down. So that's going to happen. But he says that will be kind of offset by them building out sites. So there's going to be a lot of activity for T-Mobile in 22, more so than we all could have anticipated, I think. The CapEx guidance will tell us everything. Just as a reminder, the CapEx for this year, was still going to be $12 billion. So now we can speculate. Is it going to go to 13, 14? If they want to accelerate to anything meaningful, and I'm talking, really aggressively moving some of the plans from 23 into 22, I think the CapEx goes to $14 billion. That's just my opinion. I think that's an extra $2 billion that they're going to accelerate. Now, does that drop the CapEx for 23? Very important question. I think it will lower the CapEx that they were going to spend in 23. Hope not. I hope it doesn't, because remember, the year 23 starts the lowering of their CapEx from 9 to 10 billion. So if they take 2 billion out of the CapEx from 23, are they only going to invest 7 billion in 23? I don't see that. That's very low. That's very low. Remember, Verizon and AT&T are applying pressure on the CapEx. AT&T goes to 24 billion. Verizon is at around 21, 22 billion. That's a lot of money being poured into the network. So you got to keep that in mind. T-Mobile going down to 7 billion would only be like $1 billion or $2 billion that they were spending more than they were spending as a standalone. So just keep that in mind. So let me know what you think about these results. We don't know the full story yet. We won't know that until the quarterly earnings. We don't know the story behind churn. So we'll see all that come Q4 earnings. But good to see these preliminary reports. Good to see where the network is. And good to see that we have somewhat of a confirmation of the acceleration of CapEx for this year. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Follow the social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace.